Hi guys, it's Amber from Amber Eats Books, and I'm here today to bring you my last ever weekly reads video. I know this is the end of my weekly reads video as we know it. I have actually decided to go ahead and start doing monthly reads videos instead. So like the next video will be September reads, books number 1 through 4, however many books I get through by the time I film next. The weekly reads was putting a little too much pressure on me. I go into greater detail about why I did it in my last video, so I'll link that down below. Anyway, let's get into these books. The first book I'd like to talk about is The Garden of Small Beginnings by Abby Waxman. I picked this up for a Goodreads group that I'm a part of called Lisa's Buddy Reads. This is hosted by Lisa from Books and Smiles. I will leave all of the links down below. I went into this book a little hesitant because a few of the other members of the group who had already finished said that they did not really enjoy it. And I was kind of looking at the comments for the first, couple of chapters, and people were just kind of iffy on it. I mean, there were a few people that enjoyed it, so take my opinion with a grain of salt, but I did not. I ended up DNFing this at page 61. It just was not for me. I've been kind of writing down pros and cons for each of my books after I finish them in a notebook that I have, to kind of just gather my thoughts before I sit down to do my reviews. The only pro that I could come up with for this book was the cover. This beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful cover. That was the only pro. The cons were in the 61 pages that I read. I just felt that it was very boring. The story was so lackluster. I just felt like nothing was really happening. The writing wasn't that great in my opinion. Maybe it just wasn't the style of writing that I like. It just was not for me. I also did not like some of the dialogue between the two sisters. It was just kind of crass, and the language was a little unsavory here and there. And not that I don't like unsavory language. Listen, Stephen King is one of my favorite authors, but the way that it was kind of just interjected into this story was not it didn't seem like it flowed. It didn't seem like it was a natural part of the story. It just seemed it was kind of more in there for a little bit of shock value, and I just was not about that. So another thing that I've been kind of putting down in my reviews is, if I own this, am I glad that I own it? Or if I don't own it, would I want to buy it? I own it, but I wish I didn't waste the money. I absolutely love the cover. Like I said, it is stunning. But because I did not like the book, I cannot fathom keeping it. So this is going to go into my donation pile. I will read the first sentence just for ha-has. And that is, "It's been more than 3 years since my husband died, yet in many ways he's more useful than ever." The next book I picked up was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I picked this up from the library a couple of months ago, and I just hadn't gotten around to reading it. So for August, Krista from Books and Jams was hosting this as her pick for her read-along group on Goodreads, which is called Books and Jams Read-Along. I'll leave those links down below as well. So I thought, why not pick it up? It'd be the perfect time. There was a whole other group of people reading it at the same time as me. It would really propel me to actually, get into the story. So I ended up picking this up a little late in the month, so I really didn't get a chance to join in the discussions as much as I had wanted to. I was able to read, though, what everyone else thought going along in the story, and next month I hope to really join in on the discussions for the next book. But that being said, I went ahead and I read it, and I had heard a lot of hype for this book. I mean, it is a classic. A lot of people have read it, and a lot of people love it. I mean, it's like their absolute favorite book. So I went into it with really kind of high expectations, and those expectations for me were not met at all. This might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion here on BookTube, but I found this just okay. I didn't love it like everyone else did. This is set in like the 1930s, and it is the story of basically this girl. I say girl, she's probably like 18 or 19 years old, who ends up marrying this man whose previous wife was named Rebecca, and it's all about her trying to live up to Rebecca's standards. And there's like mystery and stuff involved in the story. which is an interesting premise, but I have to tell you, it took forever for me to get like into the story, like to actually get involved in the story. It was about 150 pages into the book before I felt like I was hooked enough to want to pick the book back up, which is kind of a long time for me. I normally only give a book between 50 and 100 pages, but I did not want to DNF a second book after I had just DNF'd The Garden of Small Beginnings. So I was like, no, I'm going to push myself through this book and I'm going to make it to the end and really give it my all. So I did, and I have to tell you, my one pro for this book is that I absolutely love du Maurier's writing. I really found that was the strongest point. Her writing is just so beautiful and so descriptive. I just really fell into some of these passages and loved them. However, on the whole, as far as the story went, I just felt like the plot was a little predictable for me. I felt like the characters were all kind of whiny, and the main character, which we never find out her name, it was just naive and just got on my nerves a lot. And even the side characters kind of got on my nerves. So I wasn't liking any of the characters as we went through the book. I will say that I'm glad that I read it. I found that her writing is beautiful, so I'm definitely going to read more books by her. I did hear, I think it was Juan from Just One Reader had said that he didn't enjoy Rebecca as much as everybody else, but he really enjoyed My Cousin Rachel, which I have out from the library. So I may give that one a go and see if that one is a better fit for me. So I ended up rating this 3 stars. The first line in this book is, "Last night I dreamt I went to Manderley again." And that wraps up all of the books that I finished for the last part of August. I've been currently reading one book for the month of September, which you will see in my first September Reads video as a wrap up. I'm almost done. I have about 50 pages left or so, and that is The Golden Fool by Robin Hobb. This is book 2 in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the 3rd trilogy in the realm of the Elderling series. This again is following Fitz and the Fool, and I'm just really enjoying it. It just has been one of those times where I can't read for very long stretches of time, so it seems to be taking me forever, but I hope to finish this tonight now that I only have about 50 pages left. So those were all the books that I read and that I'm currently reading, and I will get into the books that I hope to read in my September TBR video, so keep an eye out for that. I know it's a little late in the month to be putting out a TBR video, but I figure better late than never. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great month and happy reading.